Hello everyone, Diego here, and I just watched season 3 and have a season 2 of Big City Green on Disney Channel and Disney XD. And you know what I think of it? It's freaking awful! When I first saw season 3 of Big City Green on Disney Channel and Disney XD, I see it was bad. I mean, what the heck is Bob Chapek thinking? I can't believe my parents think one of his movies are good, but now that I realize it, I'm done with him. And yes, I did watch 2022 of Marvel movies, including, I say, Adventures of Brock and a Home Alone movie exclusively on Disney Plus. I haven't seen Diary of a Wimpy Kid on Disney Plus yet, but sooner I will. So right now, we're going to be doing a rant video and ramble and talk about Bob Chapek itself. We now go to Warren Cook, who's going to be doing a rant video out of him. Take it away, Warren.
Thank you, Diego. And with all that said, let's get into this rant of Bob Chapek. Oh my crud. What the heck he's supposed to be? He ruined my favorite company, Disney. Here's why. 1. He forced all of the creators of the show or movie to put bad writing. 2. He dumped some new movies or new episodes onto Disney Plus that is meant to be in theaters and on Disney Channel. And 3. He forced us to pay all the rides at Disney parks. Because of this I can't go to Disney parks for a while, and that is the reason. Bob Chapek will forever be known for ruining Disney. Bob Chapek is nothing but a bunch of errant, self-destruction, ungrateful, disgraceful and money-hungry. And that's all I can say about Bob Chapek. Back to you, Diego.
Alright guys, before we end this video, we need to discuss our thoughts. So Warren, what's your thoughts on Bob Chapek, and what had he done to you at Walt Parks?
Well, why not start with how I got into the Chapek era? I was at the movie theaters to see Encanto, and when I watched the opening, I saw the trailer of Turning Red, which was meant to come on March, and I was very excited. It wasn't until January 2022 when Bob Chapek decided not only to release it earlier, but also to dump Turning Red into Disney Plus. As for the Walt Disney Parks, I was at the Walt Disney World in Orlando, Florida, and my favorite ride is Splash Mountain, and I enjoy and went to Splash Mountain every single time. But sadly, Splash Mountain is shutting down and re-theme into Tiana's Bayou Adventure, as well as the Jungle Cruise revamp. And back in the days of Bob Chapek, the Walt Disney Parks was a sad day, and I was forced to spend money to go on the rides, especially to go see Mickey and Minnie. And that's all. It happens that I can't go for a while, except I can still go to Disney on Ice and the Disney cruise ship. And how about you? And how did you get into the Bob Chapek era?
Well, I was at the movie theaters to see Lightyear, Thor, Love and Thunder, and Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. And the movie didn't do well, but Lightyear, I still love the movie. But still, it was bad and bombed at the box office. That it didn't do well. It's because it was Bob Chapek's fault. And I can understand why the movie didn't do well at the box office. It's because it was due to confusing of time travels. And the writers didn't know what Lightyear stands for. But however, they did do well with the critics. And as for Love and Thunder and Wakanda Forever, it didn't do well either. Mainly because Thor is really out of character. And as for Wakanda Forever, they made the whole entire movie to look boring. How? I was having a hard time watching this movie because throughout the whole entire movie, I've accidentally fallen asleep for 6 minutes. The sets are completely boring. The underwater was completely blandness and emptiness. Worst of all, and most importantly, why would he want to replace it with Shuri? Another thing, and most importantly, which we'll get to that later, is that Bob Chapek had did something to T'Challa. We'll talk about this later when we get to the character parts. And yeah, I can't even explain anymore. It's just really boring. Anyways, let's move on to the next one. And these two are Home Sweet Home Alone and I Say Adventures of Wild Buck. Let's start off with Home Sweet Home Alone. It is not the same. The movie was average, but still great. It shows that the writing in the movie was repetitive, and Bob Chapek, to me, he hasn't seen the original Home Alone because the crashes aren't the same, the action wasn't the same, the ending was weird, and yeah, it's not the same anymore. As for I Say Adventures of Wild Buck, Bob Chapek decided to not only cancel the Ice Age movie, but also to put, you know what? Where should I even start? Oh, I know. Let's start off the opening. The opening is that instead of the 20th Central Fox logo or Blue Sky, they decided to put the Disney logo instead. And Bob Chapek thinks that Ice Age was a Disney movie. No, it's not. It's a Fox movie. Anyways, the second biggest flaw is that Bob Chapek thinks it's a good idea to have Crash and Eddie be separate away from Ellie, Manny, Diego, Sid, and worst of all, they removed Scrat. But thank God he got a return in Scrat Tales, which is an Ice Age spin-off show. And lastly, why would Bob Chapek think it's a good idea to have Bug as a new father figure for Crash and Eddie? I mean, Bug was never a father figure in the original movie. And guys, I only watched half of the clips of the movie, and then finally in the other half where I watch a little full half of the movie until I get to the end credits. Man, maybe Sunday I'll give a movie a rewatch, but hey, I still like the movie, only I saw the middle parts of the movie, especially the other half when we get to the credits. I haven't seen the beginning, but don't worry, I'm starting to rewatch it at my friend's house. But hey, at least the movie was an okay ending to end the Ice Age series, but among fans, they consider it one of the worst movies to end the Ice Age series, and abysmal note. Well, I'm talking about the fans, not myself, because for me, I seen it is an okay and a decent start. The decent end to the finale of the Ice Age movie. Oh, and before I can say this, I haven't seen the movie Strange World, but it was meant to be released in November, but unfortunately it didn't get the release date, and it's supposed to be released in theaters, but Bob Chapek is like, nope, we're putting it on Disney+. And they did. And I can't believe I didn't get to watch the movie because they dumped their movies on Disney+. And I had to agree with the user who made the rant video on Bob Chapek. He said even Pete Dodder, John Lasseter, and the rest of the Pixar crew are upset at Bob Chapek because they dumped their movies on Disney+. And that's all I can say about the movies. Now we're going on to the TV show parts, and then we're going to talk about the characters. So, get ready.
Alright, we're going on the TV parts.
Anyways, back in 2022, I heard on YouTube saying that Amphibia was cancelled because Bob Chapek think it was a good idea to cancel that show, but the show never deserves to get canceled, and I don't know why. But I did see only a few episodes, but I didn't watch the final episode of Amphibia, but I heard it was canceled. I don't know how in 2022 that some other shows were canceled. And as for Big City Green, before we talk about the story, I need to talk about what happened back in 2021 to 2022. Anyways, back in June 2021, I started to grow out without cable because my dad couldn't afford paying cable and he didn't have enough money to pay cable subscriptions. And I started to grow out without cable. I was watching YouTube videos, sadly, because I no longer have cable and I was forced to watch some of the DVDs. But then on August 2020, when I heard the news saying that Arthur is going to get cancelled on PBS, I was worried that it's gonna get removed like some of the other old shows, but I was worried, but it was revealed that it was the final season that was going to get canceled. So I decided to watch Arthur for a while, as well as the other PBS shows or classic PBS show for a while on WTTW until I get cable back. I did enjoy the season finale of Arthur, and I did watch the new season of Cyberchase that I enjoy, except I don't like the animation, but I still enjoyed it last year ago. And meanwhile, I enjoy a lot of trips with Dad, going to nature hikings, and the rest of the summer trip, as well as going to trips with my mom. I enjoyed the mall. I enjoyed the Chicago Rich Mall. I have a lot of fun visiting. Well, 2022 was an average day, but I still enjoyed it a little bit. And heck, I even enjoyed my 15th birthday back in 2022, but it was a little average day, that is. And back in 2022, when I was watching some of the Disney and some of the Marvel movies, when I first saw it, I was like, why is the animation or the writing was acting weird? And my parents thought it was a good movie, and she loves bad writing these days. I do like the movie, and some of the Marvel movies are actually boring. It wasn't until when I was watching the Train King Productions saying that he's moving on from Disney Video of Train King Productions videos. It wasn't until it was brilliantly revealed that Bob Chapek, the new CEO of the Walt Disney Company, had ruined it, and I was like, I didn't know he did that. And he told me that he removed T'Challa as a meet and greet and replaced it with Shuri, not to mention during the summer days that he was no longer going to the parks, saying that Splash Mountain was closed forever, and I don't want it to be closed, like Warren Cook as they speak. And I realized that it wasn't the company's fault. It's just that Bob Chapek had ruined the company. That's all I'm saying. Oh, and on January 2022, when I was looking at something on Twitter saying that basically Green Season 3 was coming out, I was pretty thrilled. It wasn't until when I see some of the messages or on a YouTube video on their review of the episode saying that season 3 was released earlier on January 25th, 2022. And I was like there were two problems with this season. One thing is that they released some of the season 3 episodes on the on-demand service and on Disney Plus, according to some of the pictures or photos on Twitter. But this season was supposed to be out on February 12th, but they put it out for unknown reason. And this is one of the only Chapek attacks I ever had. Well, I didn't watch it, but I heard the news. No, I didn't watch it in 2022. I heard the news because I didn't have cable. Anyways, after half of 2021 and full-length 2022's death, in my opinion, back in Christmas Day 2022, I finally got cable back, and I catch one of the final 2022 episodes of Season 3 of Big City Green, which was the Christmas virtual reality special. Anyways, back in January 2023, this was the first time I saw the Chapek era of Big City Green. When I first saw this era, which was half of Season 2 to early Season 3, everything went downhill. Anyways, I don't know what happened, but Bob Chapek had forced the creators of the show to put bad writing. But here's the story of my review of the early Season 3 episodes.
What? But how?
Well, back on January 3rd, 2023, things is starting to change on me. Why? I was watching the Gravity Falls finale Weird Mageddon, and when the movie and the series finale was over, the Bob Chapek era of Big City Green just pops out of nowhere, starting off with the episode Chapocalypse Now. I haven't seen this episode when it first premiered. I don't know what happened, but I believe it was the day where the new series It's Pony premiered, especially the SpongeBob special Patchy's Beach Bash, which is a trivia game from the Next Screens app. Maybe it was the same day that it premiered. I don't know what happened. I literally gave up watching the show only a little bit because I was tired of catching up new episodes or specials. Anyways, I'm starting to get out of the topic, so let's just keep going. Final episode of the show when it was gold was Quiet Please, and the first episode of the Bob Chapek era was Chipwrecked and Chipocalypse Now. Let's start off with Chipwrecked because it's the two-part special of Chipocalypse Now. Bob Chapek thinks it's a good idea to not only have Big Coffee destroyed, but also he removed Miss Cho for unknown reason. And furthermore, why would Bob Chapek think it's a good idea to have Gloria stay in the Green's house? Why did he want Wholesome Greg and Wholesome Rose to be removed as well? I have nothing much to say about this episode, so let's go to part 2, aka the special Chipocalypse Now. So the episode starts off where Chip was starting to become evil like Sideshow Bob. After he destroyed Big Coffee, he was determined to destroy the Green's house, and the Greens and Remington are determined to save their house before Chip destroys it or murder them. This special wasn't all that bad, but I really miss Big Coffee. It's not bad, but it's still average and best. It's not perfect, but it's still good. But still, this kills the franchise. And the rest of the half of Season 2 was still good. The best episode I love in the half of Season 2 episode was Cousin Jilly, because it's the best Tilly episode ever. And one of the only best Bob Chapek episodes ever. The second other episode I really like was Gloria's Cafe. It's nice to have Gloria getting her cafe back, but I really miss Big Coffee still. Instead, we got a rename called Gloria plus Green's Cafe. So that's all the half Season 2 episodes from the Bob Chapek era. But when we get to Season 3, ooh boy, where do I even begin? Well, I'll tell you the basics first. The first thing that really takes me off about this show is that the characters' personalities had changed, which I'll get to that later. The animation doesn't suit the series. Okay, I will congratulate the writers or the animators for Season 3 for doing what they could with the show, but the Flash animation doesn't really work for a more laid-back sort of show. Season 1 and 2's animation was hand-drawn animation, and the animation was spectacular. In fact, Season 1 and early Season 2 is definitely one of the best Big City Green seasons so far. Season 3's animation, terrible. The animation was so a little bit ugly and uninteresting, and it was too darn flashy. Well, except for the new characters. But however, Season 1 and 2's animation only made a Season 3 cameo appearance. Like, if the camera was farther away from the character, they go back to using Season 1 and 2's animation, and in the next scene, they will go back to use Flash animation. But Bob Chapek thought it was right to change the animation. That's the second thing that really takes me off about this show. The voice acting is, and best, average. I know the voice actors for Cricket and Tilly are trying their best, but Cricket sounds perfect. Tilly, she just sounds like two grown-up adults, way too grown-up in some other episodes. As for the voice actor of Remy Remington, he sounded too high-pitched that made me burst laughing. The new characters are cute, fun, excellent, spectacular, stupendous, and cute, but they're not memorable as the older ones. The only thing that really irks me is that they got rid of the old characters to make way for the new characters or the family. Yeah, Wholesome Greg, Wholesome Rose, Miss Cho, the old police officer, the mail carrier, a few little kids, a little girl with green skin and blue dress, the other little girl with blue skin, purple shirt and glasses, a purple little girl and her parents, a purple little boy with pink shirt and purple hair, a little girl with blue skin, green shirt and blue hair. All of them had disappeared, kind of, with no explanations whatsoever, and aren't a few characters kind of important? Well, except for Miss Cho. We do have a reason why Miss Cho is no longer in this series, because she was tricked by Chip in order to get retired, and then she just left the show by going on vacation. So that's the reason why Miss Cho is no longer in the show. Anyways, the only good episodes I could think of for season 3 were Boss Life, Propaganda, Little Buddy, Zen's Garden, Taken, Greens, Trivia Night, Dependable Bill, The Delivinator, Listen Up, Big Picture, and Rambo. And I enjoyed the rest of the Country Farm series. The only meh episode I have was Dirt Jar. Why, you may ask? Well, I'll tell you the negatives first. The only negatives I had was the overuse of the whining and complaining. For example, after Bill accidentally broke Cricket's dirt jar, he keeps whining and complaining throughout the entire episode, and a little bit of whining and complaining in the beginning of Cricket after he found out that the dirt jar is gone, and then a little whining and complaining in the country story. Another thing I didn't like about this episode is that Gloria was telling the kids to get out without even noticing they're looking for the dirt jar. Why can't they tell Gloria that they're looking for the dirt jar and then search all around the room and then they could get out? And come on, Gloria, stop being so selfish. Now that I'm off with the negatives, the only positive I have in this episode is the backstory of the country farm. A story of Cricket and Tilly's country farm before they moved to big city. And that was their old house. And I really love the ending where Cricket and Bill went on a road trip to their country farm, which is their old house, only to get dirt jar. And at the end of the scene, they gave us a hint about what the next episode is going to be about, as well as a hint from the Country Farm series. So I was thinking, what rating should I give for this episode? Because no matter how many times I watch this episode, I can't decide if I like this episode or hate it. Because when I first watched this episode, I was like, it's okay. But then I was like, I didn't like it. But in the third strike, I was like, man, I love this episode. But then, on the fourth strike, it keeps going back and forward. And to be honest, because I can't decide if I like this episode or hate it, and to be fair, I'm going to give Dirt Jar a 5 out of 10. A meh episode. But don't worry, I'm still going to watch this episode no matter what. While others said it was alright, but there were still some of my least favorite episodes, or what fans considering the worst episodes like No Service, Truce Bombs, and Big Trouble. I didn't really hate these episodes, I just realized the bad writing, that's all. Let's start off with No Service. This episode is a waste of potential because 1. The rules of the Sip a Snack rules is racist. 2. It's like Rule 55 all over again. And 3. The rules of the Sip a Snack rules was, in my opinion, unrealistic. I mean, I went to the gas station store without fee last time back in 2018 and the employees didn't mind about it. And the absolute worst thing about this episode is the no sharing splishies rules. Come on, Clark, that's racist. Even people get to share their drinks. It is allowed. It's like Bob Chapek got the idea about when you went to pay rides, bathrooms, or go to see the characters at Walt Parks. And also, throughout the whole entire episode, Craig was trying to get into the Sip and Snack without getting caught by Clark, just so he could get the splishy. Same thing with Bill. He spent the entire episode trying to find a parking space. However, there are 2 things I love about this episode. 1, I love the fact that there's another big coffee location. And 2, I love the song called I Must Say. But that's not going to save this episode, but I didn't hate it still. Again, I'm still going to watch it because just to remember the writing is bad. That's all. Anyway, let's move on to the next episode, Truce Bombs. Although Tilly's my favorite character, but I don't like her in this episode because she was poorly written. In the original show, Tilly was the most respectful singing girl ever, who loved speaking to animals, singing all of her songs, and sometimes being more respectful to her father or the rules of big city. Sure, she broke one rule in one episode where she went to see Gogorian's cat by sneaking into Gogorian's house. She broke the rule, but she's still likable. But here, she was poorly written, as I spoke earlier. We'll talk about this when we get into Big Trouble. Anyway, back to the episode. So Tilly was trying to get Gogorian and her grandma Alice to get united again and be friends with them. but she's literally breaking the law that you cannot be friends with strangers or neighbors. And the absolute worst thing about this episode is the part where it makes my ears bleed that Tilly said they're being so P. I don't like that word, and it literally made my ears bleed. The absolute worst thing about this episode is that they're showing the kids and teenagers a bad moral. Like, what is the message here? It's okay to be friends with a neighbor? Nothing. It taught us nothing. All that aside, the only one thing is good in this episode is that you should never meddle someone else's businesses. That's one thing we heard. Overall, this episode is definitely one of my least favorite episodes due to character derailment, a lot of big city realism rules are broke, and especially showing us a bad moral. But again, I didn't hate it. It's just I hate one scene where they're being so nice. I'm just replacing a word, that's all. Anyways, let's move on to the next episode, Big Trouble. All I can say, just what in the mother of pearl did they do to Tilly? Also, 3 questions. Why, and why? This Tilly is really out of character. We would never see her behave like this. And it seems it's been mentioned time and time again. She never would have gotten in trouble for the first time. She never would do all the bad stuff. She never did all this stuff like steal, getting people in trouble, or other things that are bad. And she would have felt sorry for Andromeda if she didn't want to be bad at all. Well, that hadn't stated in the episode, but that was one of the case. In fact, is this kid even Tilly? I don't think she is. It seems it's like Chase or Gregley wearing Tilly's costume and stealing her voice. And no, guys, she wasn't in trouble for the first time. It's just that she was really out of character, and for some reason, Bob Chapek had asked them to make them. Even though Bob Chapek is not in the episode credit or mentioned in the episode name, and it was written by someone else, he actually forced the writers to do this. Sure, they're teaching the kids and teenagers a good moral that you should never be bad. Sure, they're teaching the kids that it's not okay to be bad, but the execution of this episode was just poorly written. And also, why can't they just choose Cricket instead of dumbing down my favorite cute character? Again, I didn't hate this episode, it's still watchable, but I did feel bad for Tilly. And anyways, before we get to Warren Cook's thoughts, I have one more episode to talk about. And it was the ever so infamous Horse Girl. All I can say, this was definitely one of my least favorite episodes in the Country Farm series. Again, we come back as Tilly being downgraded for hitting a horse named Butterscotch. In many of the older episodes, or maybe the Lost episode, and I believe I watched the Lost episode in the earlier series where Tilly loves ponies, especially a horse that was cute or messed up despite being dirty, but she didn't mind about it. But here, she was really out of character for hating a horse named Butterscotch, thinking she is dirty in her montage, while Bill, aka her dad, think is cute. In other words, this was the last episode of the Bob Chapek era, and it's gotta be my least favorite episodes or one of the fans' worst episodes in all of Big City Green history. Come on, Bob Chapek. Tilly is not that stupid, and making a plot twist of having Tilly stay away or character downgrade by staying away from Butterscotch is awful. Why would they want to stay away and not having Butterscotch forever? And especially throughout the whole entire episode, Tilly didn't want to keep Butterscotch. She just spends throughout the whole entire episode trying to get rid of Butterscotch. And that's not the worst part. Oh no. The worst part is during the storm scene, aka the plot of Toby and the Flood, after Tilly rescued her dad Bill out of the river, she still didn't want to keep Butterscotch, and even though Bill made her own hats, they didn't want to keep Butterscotch, and she even asked her dad to keep Butterscotch away from the room. That one just killed it. That one killed Tilly's original character. This was not only my least favorite episode, but also what an abysmal note to end the Bob Chapek episode. Thanks a lot, Bob Chapek. You suck. You suck so badly. Again, I didn't hate this episode, but I'd rather watch it on Halloween. It's basically Percy and the Monster of Brandom all over again. And I like the Sharon Miller era, and I love Percy and the Monster of Brandom. And can't you believe this, Warren? Anyways, tell me your thoughts on Big City Grease Season 3.
Yep, I do agree with you. The only problem I have about this season is that Tilly is really out of character. And also some of the writing is just cringe, lazy and repetitive, and also downgraded from the originals. And furthermore, I really missed Big Coffee along with Miss Cho, Wholesome Greg and Wholesome Rose, and I had nothing much to say about this earlier season 3/the Chapek era, so let's move on.
And one last thing. After I watched Truce Bombs, I had to take a break, pull up YouTube to watch a regular show episode, Brain Eraser, so it could get off of my mind. I'm still gonna rewatch it just to remember the bad writing. And now, let's move on to the last part you all been waiting for. Let's discuss and talk about the characters, or should I call it the Chapek Locos. Why I mean Chapek Locos? Because there's some of the characters that was Bob Chapek around. And guys, I can't name all of them, but I'm going to name only a couple of them. For one thing, I really love the characters for Luca, Turning Red, and Akanta because they're interesting, cute, and sometimes crazy and interesting personalities. The characters for Lightyear are okay, but I did love the detail of how they put blood on it. And their Socks, I love Socks, the robot cat. It's an interesting character, but the rest of them are okay, but interesting. And I forgot to mention that in the movie section that I forgot to tell you that for Soul and Royal and the Last Dragon, no, I haven't seen the movie yet, but I'm starting to watch it. But I did hear the characters' personalities are interesting. I heard for Adventures of Wild Buck, I love Z. She's an interesting character. And for Love and Thunder, like I already mentioned it last time, but Thor isn't himself anymore. If you want to know his personalities, I suggest you check out the movie and you'll see what I mean. And finally, we're going to Wakanda Forever. Finally, I get to talk about what Train King Productions' thoughts on this movie. For some reason, Bob Chapek wanted to make the movie where Black Panther gets killed. And Train King Productions told me that replacing the hero is a big problem. Not just me, but not even him, but the hundreds of T'Challa fans. I even have the same opinions with Shuri. Like Train King Productions said, he has nothing against Shuri, and so did I. But he's an okay character. And that's all I had to say about the characters from the movies. Now let's talk about the characters from the TV series. For Amphibia, the characters are the same. And speaking of personalities, in one episode in Season 3 called Theory's Feud, in this episode, Sprung wanted to be Ant's family. And I thought that's an interesting twist we could have. And not to mention, this is the first time I heard that Sprung is getting his own character development. And guys, there are no new characters in this series, but the characters are getting their own character development. And I have nothing much to say about this show, so let's move on to Big City Grease Season 3, which is the characters. Before I talk about the new characters, we need to talk about the main characters' personalities. I've already mentioned Tilly being unlikable in the whole Season 3 episodes. But anyways, let's move on. And now, about the characters from Season 3 / the Bob Chapek era. How do I put this? They just don't feel like the old characters anymore. They changed so much about it. I mean, Cricket and Tilly are idiots. Nancy is just Nancy. Bill was acting like Homer Simpson and Peter Griffin. Their grandma, aka Alice, is a wimp. Remy, Brett, Kiki, Benny, and Wheezy, and Gabriella are the only good characters, especially the rest of their friends, but too bad they only had little episodes. So now that I'm out of the way, let's move on and let's talk about the new characters. Let's see, I love Janice from Janice's Niceties. She is a funny character, and my favorite part of at the end of Propaganda, she made an advertisement that makes me laugh about the mug of Janice's Niceties, like by saying, only $6.99 months of Janice's Niceties. Come on, buy! Man, she's funny. And there's like Clark. Man, Clark is gotta be one of the unlikable characters. Well, at least it isn't his fault. It was Bob Chapek's fault. In case you don't know who's Clark, Clark, I already mentioned, is the manager of the Sip and Snack. Anyways, moving on. I love some of the characters of Little Buddy. Some of the little kids are a little cute, which I'll get to him or her when we talk about after this character. Doug Perkins has gotta be one of the most funniest characters ever. Well, let's just say I don't like him. I love him, and he keeps cracking me up. His personality is funny. I love Doug Perkins. And about the next character, what else could I say about Chase? He or she is gotta be one of my favorite characters of all time. I can't tell if it's either a male or a female character, but it looks cute. His faces look like a boy. She's cute as a girl. Well, not really as a girl, but it's too cute for me. I mean, Chase, in my opinion, was the equivalent. Oh, you know what? Let me show you the picture of comparison. As I was saying, is that Chase is the equivalent of Billy from Don't Be Silly Billy. Yes, he has green, although Billy has green pinstripe. His shirt is the same color as Billy. And finally, he even has bug teeth as Billy. And not only that, he or she is gotta be one of my new favorite characters of all time. And yes, I really love Chase. I will love it so much. What? I'm gonna use the word it because I still don't know if it's either a he or she. Anyways, now let's move on to you've all been waiting for. The country farm folks. Or the country farm characters, whatever you want to go by. And, I really love them. I love Patty. She is a cool baker. I even love her handshakes. I love Sunday. She's a cool singer for later episodes of the Country Farm series, but I really love her. She's cute. And there's Hector. I love Hector. The only problem I have with Hector is that we didn't get a proper introduction of how he was little trying to play with Cricket as a cousin. But we did see that he's grown up, he's a teenager, and I even love Hector's teenagers. And there's Lupita. I really love Lupita, but again, like Chase, I can't decide if it's a male or a female because his face looks like a boy and it's starting to look like lashes, like girl lashes. Also, like Chase, she's even cute. Well, oops, sorry, I meant to say it. But anyways, I really love Lupita. I even love all the country farm characters. I'm talking about the ones that they didn't mention or give it a name for it. But you probably see that, and I really love them. I really love the Country Farm series. And I guess that's it. That's it, guys. I finished all the characters. Oh, wait, I forgot to mention. In Candy Against the Universe, I really love the villain, Super Big Doctor. She's evil, and I even love the cowards. They're so cowardly, and I guess Candy Against the Universe was definitely one of the good Bob Chapek movies. Well, definitely one of the only good Chapek movies out there. And that is all I can say about the Bob Chapek era. So, we are done with the video. Hopefully, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe.
Guys, you heard what he said. Like, comment and subscribe, and don't forget to check his community post. And also, a big shout out goes to Ackley Attack 4427, Spoonful for You, Tranking Productions, and Ross the Movie Reviewer, for telling us about why the company went downhill and why the writing is cringe.
Well, anyway, you guys, I hope you enjoy my rant of the Bob Chapek era. I may do others like this. I will definitely be doing the episode review of the Arthur season finale and the recent basically season 3 episodes, the recent ones. No, not the Bob Chapek era, the final season 3 episodes, including the special Long Goodbye. So anyway, you guys, thank you so much for watching, and as always, good night, everyone.